793 AD, a lusty horde of blonde giants with an African slave began to boldly sail these seas.
Row!
Braving wild winds and waves and warnings of fearful death, they turned their eyes westward, beyond the setting sun.
Praise be to our God, Odin, for we have found the new land of the west. To Odin! To Odin! To Odin!
The new land they named Vineland. We call it America. These men from Norway gave history one of the greatest warriors it has ever known. And he was called a Norseman. The Norseman stars Lee Majors, Cornell Wilde, Mel Ferrer, Susie Coelho, Jack Elam, and Deacon Jones. This is the story of the men who discovered America 6 centuries before Columbus and encountered on its eastern shores the fierce Iroquois Indians. Charles B. Pierce's The Norseman.
The following is a paid advertisement. Really? A paid advertisement? Wait, the B-Movie Cast got paid? Yes, the following is a paid advertisement. This episode of the B-Movie Cast is brought to you by the estate planning services of Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law. Remember, when the zombie apocalypse comes, things will move pretty fast.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
Well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
Oh, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
So don't leave your estate planning needs until the last minute, because you don't know when that last minute could come. Call Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, at 859-351-2294. That's 859-351-2294. Remember, when you go, you don't want people saying,
"Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up."
Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, is licensed for practice in the state of Kentucky. Consult your local attorney for matters outside of the state of Kentucky.
Command march. The time will be running at X minus 20 seconds. March. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire.
Spawned by the continuing decline and fall of society as we know it, and created on the second-floor spare-bedroom studio in the Piedmont of South Carolina, podcasting on a shoestring budget and changing the world one freak at a time. It's the B-Movie Cast with your host, Vince Rotolo.
From coast to coast and worldwide via the internet, this is the B-Movie Cast, the podcast of unusual film and television.
Hi, guys, and welcome back once again to the B-Movie Clubhouse for episode 515 of the B-Movie Cast. Before I go any farther, I want to get our contact information out of the way. We love hearing from all of you, so we have a feedback segment devoted to your comments and suggestions, and this is how you can contact us. Option 1, pick up your phone and dial 888-936-0808. This is a toll-free number and a very easy way to leave a voice message. Option 2, you can make your own MP3 file and send it in to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Or use your smartphone voice software and record a call, then just send that in as an attachment instead. Or option 3, if you're not into talking, you can just shoot us an email to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Our website is bmoviecast.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and there you can join us on the Facebook B-Moviecast fan page and letterbox. Also, you can play the contest by sending in your answer by email to bmoviecast@gmail.com with contest in the subject line. And check out the links while you're there, or buy a t-shirt. I currently have smalls to 4Xs. If you want to help us financially, there's a donation box you can click on as a supporter on the Lugosi, Karloff, Agar, and the infamous Xanadu level through PayPal. Also, the easiest way to donate is to click on the Amazon bar on the right side of our homepage. This Amazon link will take you to Amazon.com to make your purchase. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can still log into your personal accounts when you get there. It's completely private, so think about us before you buy online. We have our co-host from Lexington, Kentucky, author, editor, screenwriter, film producer, Nic Brown. He has a new website, and it is authornicbrown.com. That's AuthorNicBrown.com. He's the author of the Werewolf for Hire series starting with Blood Curse. He's also selling a series of books in collaboration with his wife, Fiona Young Brown, called the B-Movie Cookbooks. All of these are available on Amazon. He has produced 3 movies. The first 2 are Wretch and Loss Prevention, both of which could be ordered on Blu-ray or DVD through Amazon. And he is also the producer of the award-winning film Fall of Usher, which is now available for purchase or rental on iTunes and Amazon streaming. Our special guest host back again today is Eric Brook. Eric is a curator at Ashland, the Henry Clay Estate. He's also an amateur Egyptologist and an authority on mummy movies. Ooh, we have to do some more mummy movies. Eric has written reviews and articles for Nic's website, and he and Nic have been watching films together for 35 years. Today's film is a Nic Brown pick, so basically blame him and not me or Eric.
Wow. You know, Mary, this is called the B Movie Cast. It's not called the really, really good movie cast. Now, is it?
That's the truth.
It's not the Oscar-winning theater cast. You know, it's not the high art film cast. It is the B Movie Cast.
True.
And any movie that has an actor named Jimmy Clem in it is probably going to fit in the B Movie Cast.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Besides,
well, today's movie.
This film is by. What is today's movie, Mary?
Who is it by?
It is
Charles
by
Pierce.
Written, directed, produced by Charles
Pierce.
B. Pierce.
Okay.
The man, the myth, the legend, and honestly, somebody who I greatly admire.
Oh, okay.
No, seriously, dude doesn't make great movies, but you know what? He made a lot of movies, and dude made so much money on The Legend of Boggy Creek.
That's true.
That it boggles the mind. I want to say that film, I mean, good Lord. I think it cost him something like $55,000 to make. He shot it in 3 weeks, and I think it took him something like not even $50,000. I'm sorry, it's like $25,000 to make. And by the time it was all said and done, I want to say he had pocketed $25 million off of it or something.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it just grossed money like a mad dog. Yeah.
Okay, well, he didn't do so good with this one.
Well, he didn't do very good with most of the films he made after that, but he made enough money on that film that he didn't necessarily have to.
Yeah. Well, for everybody out there, today's movie is the 1978 action-adventure called The Norseman.
Yes.
I would consider it more of a comedy, but that would give comedies a bad name.
Well, I was going to say, it wasn't that funny.
Yeah,
at least not on purpose.
Funny. No.
No, you guys know me. I always try to find something good to say about a film, but I'm really struggling with this one. Really. I can't tell you how many times I fast forwarded through the action scenes because they were boring. But I'm gonna blame it on the fact that I'm in pain and I'm on drugs and I have no patience. So maybe you guys can come up with some high points that escaped me.
No, there's not any real high points that escaped you, Mary. The movie's crap. Eric, what's your thoughts on it? Before we get really started, let's just tear this movie to bits.
I wanted to find a redeeming quality, and I think the only redeeming quality that I came up with is that they shot this thing in Tampa Bay. And as someone with roots in Tampa Bay going back about 150 years, I love Tampa Bay, and it's a beautiful place. And so I just enjoyed them running up and down the beach and across the water and through the scrub woods and the palmettos and everything. That was pretty.
The scrub woods of northern Canada.
Right, yes. All the palmettos and Spanish moss that you find in Newfoundland.
Yes.
Well, guys, okay, come on. These guys, they sailed from wherever Vikings come from. Where do Vikings come from, Eric?
Denmark,
Greenland,
Norway, Sweden.
They were supposed to be from Greenland. Or no, they were traveling to Greenland.
They could have come via Iceland and or Greenland, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they would have passed Greenland on the way to Newfoundland.
And
that would have been a little
folks,
further north, but yes, I mean they passed under that. But
well,
they came from Europe.
I'm gonna throw this out there, by the way, folks. Right now, Vikings are very hot in like streaming services. There's all sorts of Viking shows and Viking movies,
that
and it's
television
real.
series was incredible.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of that. What? Yeah, I haven't watched any of it. Don't have any interest in it. You know what I have interest in? Charles B. Pierce and doing Lee Majors as a Viking.
But yeah, Lee
with
Majors
a porn
with
star mustache.
Porn stash, a Lone Ranger mask under his helmet.
Yes.
Yeah, and the southern accent.
Yeah. And there's just so much. We will delight in pointing out all the problems with this movie. But, the thing is, before we really get started.
Yes.
I'm going to turn us back because we'll spend time tearing this movie into little tiny pieces.
Yes.
Because, it's not a great film. I did not particularly find it a good film. I know Eric didn't. Mary actually texted me to tell me how little she enjoyed it. So, folks, I am going to recommend that you watch this movie. What I'm going to say is I recommend you watch it while drinking. And I recommend you play a drinking game. Every time there's a historical inaccuracy, take a drink.
No.
The problem is you'll die of alcohol poisoning.
You'd be wasted within 15 minutes.
Yeah, so take a very small sip.
Yeah.
Just a sip. All right? But before we start going down this road, I want to roll things back a little bit. And first of all, tell the gentle viewers that you're doing okay, Mary. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Well, okay. It looks like I summed it up when I said Mary's doing okay.
I still have like lower back pain, which is like normal because it's only been a month, but I'm like over this. I want it to be over. I'm tired of this. I want my life back. I'm getting really irritated with everything. If I could have picked Kitty up, I would have picked her up and thrown her across the room a couple times. And I'm not normally like that. And I can't pick Kitty up because I can't bend over and I can't pick up anything over 10 pounds. So that Kitty's safe. But
well, I was going to say, it sounds to me like the only reason Kitty's still alive is on the counts to your back being bad.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, the 2 nights in a hospital, they fused the L4, L5, and S1 vertebrae together. Then there's a bunch of rods and screws and little cages in there holding it all straight and together now.
Okay.
They roto-rootered out all the bone spurs that were in the canal, the spinal canal. So hopefully when I recover, I will, not have weird pins and needles and all that other stuff that goes with sciatica. Yeah, hopefully.
Well, that's all good, Mary, and we're glad that you're okay.
I know. This one scared me because I knew it was going to be major, and I'm just frankly tired of surgeries and having parts of my body replaced with metal. I'm like over that part too. But
well, it's all part of the cyborg plan.
Yeah. I want to know how many pieces I have to get replaced before I can consider myself a cyborg.
Well, it depends on what your definition of a cyborg is.
True. That's true.
I mean, honestly, I don't think you're doing a great job because there's not any electronics in you.
No.
To be a cyborg, you need electronics.
Well, that's the modern definition of cyborg. Wasn't the old definition was just
okay. Can I just say that cyborgs are a modern concept? I don't think in the 19th century people weren't going, I say, Charles, we should put some gears and a steam engine inside of you, and then you'll be quite the what-ho, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Steampunk cyborg tonight on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, seriously though, Mary, we're glad you're doing better.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody out there that sent me like wishes of prayers and all that stuff. I mean, it really helped. It really did. And I also want to thank Crystal and Phyllis because they both helped a lot. They took me to the hospital, held my hand, and then they were there with me when I came out of surgery and set the room up for me and plugged my phone in, all those really important things,
Hey, and they did what needed to be done.
Yeah, then they got me home, and after 2 nights in the hospital, which I still can't believe they can do that. I can't believe they can, cut your back open, put all that metal and stuff in there, sew you back up with I have a Frankenstein scar on my back now, and then just send you home in 2 days. And I was walking up the steps. That amazes me.
Well, I'm not going to dive into my commentary on the American medical system, but I'm going to say it's a combination of amazing advances in medical technology and amazing advances in the power that insurance companies have to make sure you stay in the hospital as little time as possible, even if you need to be in there longer.
That's true. Although I really wanted to go to a rehab unit. I wanted to just spend 3 or 4 days in rehab after the hospital.
And why couldn't you, Mary?
I found out you have to be in the hospital for, at least here, and with my insurance, I had to be in the hospital for 3 nights before they would even consider sending me to rehab. And you had to get the doctor and the physical therapist at the hospital to okay it.
And whose rule was this, Mary?
That's insurance.
Bingo! That's what I'm talking about.
Well, see, but my doctor didn't want me to go to rehab. He said that I would do a lot worse. When you go to rehab in places, you basically lay in bed until they make you get up and do maybe physical therapy a couple times a day. He thought I would be much better off being at home, getting up every hour or two, moving around and doing stuff. And the rehab units, especially at the beginning, they don't want you getting up out of bed without somebody being there.
Well, screw those guys. So good for you then, Mary.
So they, everybody said, go home. So Crystal stayed with me for the first 2 nights, which was incredibly wonderful of her. And then my brother came down from Pennsylvania, and he stayed for 2 weeks.
And so Eddie's gone now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but he did all the, running out for food and running errands, and he even actually fixed some stuff around my house while he was here.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mary, it sounds to me like you got some good stuff out of all this, aside from the additional metal pieces in your body.
This is true. Yeah.
By the way, congratulations. I think now you can't go through metal detectors.
I couldn't before.
Yeah. Because of your hip.
Yeah,
that's right.
So hips already.
You'll be zinging zanging.
Yeah, 2 metal hips and a metal back now.
Oh, and also you probably can't have a full body MRI now. Congratulations.
No, actually, I was told, with my hips, I can still do an MRI.
But have you checked on your back?
I don't know. Oh, that's true, because the hips are titanium, and that doesn't mess up the MRI, but I don't know what the back stuff is made out of.
Well, I tell you what, go hop in an MRI machine and let's find out. If you start sparking like a fork in a microwave, we'll know it's not good.
Yeah, I don't want that machine pulling all those screws back out of my back again. I don't want to go through this again. Nah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Actually,
no, but we're glad you're doing okay.
Thank you.
Mary.
Thank you. Again, thank everybody that helped and was there and gave me food and sent me food and flowers and thank you. And hopefully I won't have to go through this again for at least a couple more years.
Well, hopefully you won't ever have to go through it again, Mary, because hopefully they did it right.
Well, no, I mean, not my back. I'm just talking about some other part that's going to wear out.
Well, just start doing yoga and stuff, Mary.
I know, but I'm like more of a runner kind of person, and
yeah, and that's your problem.
I know. Okay.
By the way,
yes.
Gonna pause.
What?
This is the B movie cast, not the yoga therapy cast. So I'm gonna yank us kicking and screaming back into talking about movies. Last thoughts about your back, Mary.
It's getting better. I'm driving. I'm doing things. I'm just really irritated and annoyed. And the worst part about it is trying to get in and out of bed and turning. I mean, it doesn't hurt to walk or climb steps. It's like when you're laying down and trying to turn over onto your side. I guess, I don't know, do they have to cut the muscles or do they just like push them aside? When they
why are you asking me?
Because I was wondering why those muscles hurt so bad to like turn over.
I have no idea, Mary.
I'm going to have to ask about that.
Yeah, ask Google.
No.
Okay.
I get into too much trouble when I type anything medical into Google.
That's true. You go down some rabbit holes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's about it on the Mary back situation.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
So now I wanted to turn it over to Eric and ask Eric if he's seen any good movies lately.
Yes, indeedy. Nick and
what did you see, Eric?
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny the other night.
Are we allowed to do spoilers?
I didn't know you saw that.
Yes, you did. You were with him. I saw the picture.
I know.
Well, how long is it going to be before you post this thing, Nick?
Huh? Hell if I know.
Well, that's up to y'all. I can go with or without, whatever you want.
I guess probably not, because it might take people a while to get to it.
Not everybody may have seen it yet.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought they did a very nice job. I thought the tone was right for the picture, for the point in the story that the story is taking place. I felt good about the way that they wrapped this up.
Good.
This will be the last Indiana Jones, the last Harrison Ford ride. As someone who grew up in the golden era of Harrison Ford, as someone who grew up with Han Solo and Indiana Jones and Decker from Blade Runner, it's somewhat difficult to know that these characters have basically been retired and that we have seen the end of these stories with these particular characters.
Yeah.
That's a big part of my life and Nick's life. We both came in that era and we both grew up on those films and have now seen what I imagine will be the last of each of those. So, that's
it is sad.
Kind of a challenging thing.
Yeah.
But it was a good send-off. They did a nice job with it.
I'm glad.
I look forward to, I don't know if I'll see it again in the theater anymore. There was a time when seeing things in the theater 2, 3, 4 times was a fun and good thing to do, but it's become such an expense and everything. I don't know if I'll do that. But I will watch it again when it streams, and probably at some point when they release it, hopefully it's part of the complete set 4K edition. I'll go ahead and buy the 4K edition on Blu-ray as part of the complete set. But yeah, I was pleased.
You don't think they'll make like Son of Indiana Jones movies?
Well, we aren't going to give anything away, but I guarantee they won't do that.
They won't?
Yes, that is true. We won't be doing that.
Okay.
I wouldn't put anything much past Disney.
Yeah.
Because God knows if Disney can find a way to turn a profit, they will.
Well, who was his son in that one movie?
Well, I don't remember his name, but it was Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's just say Shia LaBeouf went off a cliff as a human after
his whole career.
He kind of blew up his life.
Yeah.
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 That happens occasionally.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, what continent are they on? I haven't seen any of it.
Mostly Europe.
Oh, okay.
And North Africa.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, Europe, North America. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
They have a big chase through New York.
Ooh.
Yes.
And I don't think we're giving anything away to say the film is set in 1969.
Okay.
Right. You can see that in the preview.
Yeah.
So that in the preview.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw another thing out there. There was a lot of stuff I saw online griping about the de-aging CGI, and I'm going to say they did not do a bad job with it.
No.
I thought they did a pretty good job.
With the what? CGI?
De-aging.
De-aging.
Yeah, the first sequence
Mary,
of the film is in 1944.
Oh.
So Harrison Ford is de-aged.
Okay.
And they used a new technology for it that hasn't, I don't think, ever been used prior to this film. Lucasfilm has a complete archive of everything they've ever shot. So every scene they've ever shot with Harrison Ford, whether in a film or not, they have in an archive. And they developed an AI engine that would basically search that archive and find something they already shot of Harrison Ford that would fit what they were trying to do. So they had an actor in a suit with little dots all over him do the scene, and then they grabbed the CGI out of their previously shot footage and stuck it where the actor was. They spent $100 million just on that part of the movie.
What?
De-age Harrison Ford.
How much? What are they planning on making?
Well, Mary, you have to understand, they invested that money in this film,
but they'll use it. Yeah,
that is perfecting the technology,
right?
So they can use it in other films.
Did Lucasfilms do it or Disney?
Well, I think I'm pretty sure Lucasfilms owns it, but honestly, it doesn't matter because they'll make it available to anybody that wants to pay.
That's true. Yeah.
So regardless of whether Indiana Jones makes its money back, which right now it's not tracking to make its money back, at least not in the near future.
Wow.
And, it had a $60 million opening weekend, which that sounds like a lot of money. But when you add in that $100 million that they spent on the special effects for that bit and the marketing, they're probably looking at a $350 million movie.
Yeah.
And, that's just to break even.
Yeah.
So, and that said, I think the technology is it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. I think this and some of the other stuff is part of the reason the writers are on strike right now. And because there's a lot of fear in Hollywood that artistic talent is going to be replaced by, artificially generated talent, which, in turn means, hey, the studios make more money, but the humans involved in the art, the actors, the writers, the composers, pretty much all the creatives will lose out. And so I think something's going to have to give in that respect. And we're seeing, go ahead.
No, you have a point. Yeah.
But we're seeing a lot of that stuff going on right now. There's a lot of battle lines being drawn right now. And I think the next couple of years are going to determine how several things go for the entertainment industry. And, there may be a lot of backlash to it too, because people I believe most people will get tired of just seeing computer-generated images constantly,
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Or computer-generated storylines.
That's right. Now, because we've gone down this rabbit hole, though, I'm going to call a movie that we need to do sometime, and I've got to think about who needs to do it with us.
Okay.
The movie is Looker with Albert Finney from, I want to say 1980, maybe 1981. And it's based on a Michael Crichton book, if I remember right. And yeah, this movie was 40 some odd years ago, and it's talking about exactly this.
Oh,
I know, right? So it would be interesting to do just from the perspective of looking at that.
Okay, 1981.
And I know Eric's seen it because we watched it together streaming during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Eric doesn't remember it. I recognize that.
Hold on.
See, he's Googling it now, and he still doesn't remember it, but that's beside the point.
I'm glad somebody else has my memory.
Anyway, so Eric and I saw Dial of Destiny, and you know what? For the B Movie Cast, I'm going to recommend that y'all go check it out. It is not Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Okay,
no, it is not.
I was terrified that it was going to be Kingdom of the Crystal Skull Part 2, and it was not. As Eric said, it had the right look and the right feel. So, and it struck the right tone for what it was, too.
Cool.
So,
yes, they learned from the mistakes of Crystal Skull. There's no question about it in my mind. They figured out the things they did wrong and managed to make sure they didn't in this one.
Well,
no CGI monkeys.
Right. Yes. There you go.
More than anything else, it was that chase scene in the jungle with the CGI monkeys. And I want to say, was it Indy or Shia LaBeouf swinging? It was Shia LaBeouf swinging through the trees. And that was just so terrible.
Okay, I've seen that movie, and I cannot tell you what it's about. That's how...
What? The Crystal Skull?
Crystal Skull, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was not about Crystal Skull vodka, and that would have been a better movie, I think.
Yes.
Oh.
But anyway, speaking of awesome movies, our movie this week, The Norseman. And gentle listeners, I will completely take credit for this selection because I wanted to watch The Norseman because I'd heard it was really bad. And I also knew, okay, two things attracted me to it other than the fact that I wanted to see just how bad it was. Thing number one is Charles B. Pierce, whom he is not the best filmmaker out there. He is not the best actor out there. He is not the best writer. He is not the best anything to do with making a movie, except he made movies and he made money and he kept making movies. And good for him. I admire the hell out of him. And that's number one. And number two, I wanted to see Lee Majors with that really, really awful mustache.
Oh.
I mean, it was like a discount porn star mustache because it wasn't even thick and bushy.
No,
it was little and thin like a villainous barber.
It was so creepy.
Yeah. Oh. So you enjoyed the film a lot, didn't you, Mary?
Seriously, I fast forwarded through it, and I never do that to movies. I will sit there and I'll drink or something, but I fast forwarded through it. Every time they do those slow motion running things, I kept expecting $6 Million Man sound track in the background.
Yes, Lee Majors, the $6 Million Viking.
Yeah, and I just...
all it needed was the sound effect as he ran down the beach.
Yeah.
That was the only thing lacking from that.
Well, you know why you do slow motion fight scenes like that, kids? To make the movie reach 90 minutes for theatrical release. If all the fight scenes that had slow-mo in them were played at normal speed, the movie would only been 85 minutes long,
True.
I think. So that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say my favorite bit, and okay, gentle listeners, I'm going to spoil the hell out of this movie. So
Lord,
just
you
go
have
watch
to.
it if you want to. It's definitely a drinking game of a movie. But again, pace yourself, small sips, not chugs.
Yeah.
You'll die of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
I have given my warning. Moving on. So, now the other reason they did the thing with the slow-mo was it's like the very first time they use it. The Vikings land on the sandy shores with palm trees of somewhere in northern Canada. New England. Sure. Because palm trees, that's very common up north. But anyway, they land and hop off the boat, and some Native Americans who, according to what I read, were supposed to be Iroquois, which is hilarious because I don't believe the Iroquois
there are no
existed.
Iroquois where the Viking landed.
There were
Well,
no
there were none
Iroquois.
there, but I don't even think as a tribe they existed.
They didn't exist back then.
Well,
the
predecessors of the Iroquois.
Their predecessors did, but the Iroquois didn't.
Well,
No,
that's
that
it,
is a
and I'm
more
not saying,
modern-day grouping, but it wasn't them anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever. They
But-
sure as hell
but-
weren't wearing loincloths and ugly black wigs.
Yeah, they were something. I'll say that.
Oh,
But they immediately start shooting arrows at one of the Vikings, and basically the slow-mo comes in because Lee Majors and all the Vikings, Thorvald the Bold, that's Lee Majors, and all his Viking compadres left this one poor Viking schmuck out there by himself. And, ranged weapons, guys, they're a thing. Vikings had stuff they could throw. Maybe they had bows. I'm just saying. Ranged weapons, even spears. Come on. But anyway, the Native Americans start shooting arrows at him, and Lee Majors and all his guys come running up the beach in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time it cuts to them, it's slow motion. Every time it cuts to the dude getting killed, it's full speed. And it's like if they would just go in regular speed, they would have made it in time to save him. But anyway, and Vikings, man.
Yeah, so much stuff is wrong with this.
Okay, what else did you notice that was wrong, Mary? Go with one thing.
The very first, the guy, the narrator at the beginning, talking about when they first landed there.
When did he say they first landed?
What is it, 900 or something?
I thought he went back to like 784, and then he says, and this story is happening in 1006 AD, which is about right. That's about when the Vikings arrived. So, yeah, the opening, the narrator in the Star Wars style crawl about the lusty blonde guys or whatever.
It started that way. It was like,
Okay, Eric, give me your thing that was wrong. Give me one thing, and we're going to limit it to one each. Give me one thing that was wrong with the movie now for you.
The Viking hats with horns annoyed the hell out of me.
Oh, yes.
It was like Hagar the Horrible or something.
And then they stuck fur on them.
Yes.
They put earmuffs on the horns.
Well, they didn't want the horns to get cold, Mary. What's your point?
Just so wrong.
I mean, the Vikings really didn't wear those horned helmets.
No.
And to be fair, only half of the Vikings wore the horned helmets. The other half were wearing helmets that looked like they belonged on, English pikemen or something. I mean, none of the helmets looked historically accurate. And all of the armor looked like something you'd buy for a Halloween costume at Halloween Town.
Vikings didn't wear armor.
Not like that.
They didn't have
Not
armor.
like that they did.
That was like,
Well, it was Roman Legion.
It was Roman Legion armor.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's either the Thorvald's Roman breastplate or the others are much later. Yeah. No, that's all completely ludicrous.
All right, so my
no
thing.
sense.
Okay, what's your thing?
Okay, so my thing, and I'm going to totally skip over the Lone Ranger mask that Thorvald wore for no good reason. Okay, that's not historically inaccurate. That's just what the hell inaccurate.
That went with the porn stash.
But that's not it.
Yes.
That's not my one thing.
Ooh.
My one thing was that Viking ship, which, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, was on loan from a place in North Carolina.
New Bern, North Carolina, lent it to them. Yes.
Yeah, they just rented it, and I'm guessing just sailed it on down to Tampa for a good filming. But okay.
But it went under.
That's where I'm
they
going.
Apparently
Mary.
left it in a mangrove, and some guy found it in the mangrove, and they decided they were going to repair it and sail it back to New Bern. Well, they got towing it across the bay, and it sank to the bottom of Tampa Bay.
Yes,
so if you want a Norse ship, there's one laying around at the bottom of Tampa Bay somewhere that's probably waiting to be lifted.
Well, just don't take don't go diving down to explore the wreckage. Bad things may happen. But now the ship was like the TARDIS.
Yes.
Because there was obviously no lower deck to it. Obviously, I mean, for the size of the lower deck that they kept showing, because it wasn't just like one big room under it. When they would show it, it was like a hallway with rooms off of it, like a cruise ship. Thorvald had his own cabin, and Jack Elam, the crazy-ass sorcerer, had his own cabin.
But real long ships didn't even have anything under that. They lived on the deck.
Well, forgetting that just for a second, Mary, and yes, that's historically inaccurate. Where would they put this giant underside? I mean, literally every room they showed was bigger than the top deck of the boat.
Yes, the TARDIS ship.
But I mean, Vikings, they were known for their very deep draw ships.
Sure. Which is why they went up rivers in them.
But no, but I got to admire them for their just complete and utter disregard of historical fact.
I know.
And engineering and logistics. I mean, everything about it was just a masterclass in not doing what you should be doing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I do have to also point out it was quite awesome that Lee Majors was in this film. And if my understanding is correct, now this was Charles B. Pierce's first foray into doing a big studio picture. And bear in mind, by big studio, we're talking American International Pictures in the 70s. So this was not exactly, this wasn't Warner Brothers popping up to make Ben-Hur or
they
something.
They were the distributors, but Lee Majors and his wife Farrah Fawcett were the production company. Along with Pierce.
Whoa.
Pierce also had a production company, so it was a co-production between Lee Majors and Pierce.
Okay, right. Whoa, Mary. I'm going to cut you off on this. It was a production because they paid Lee Majors $500,000, 10% of the profit. That is why there was the Fawcett-Majors production company involved in it. Okay, that's who got that money.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you think about a production company, what you really think about is somebody putting money up to make the movie.
Well, they did.
No, they didn't.
They actually made 5 movies.
They got checks.
I mean, Lee Majors and his wife Farrah Fawcett actually made 5 movies.
No, I know they
in that
did.
Production company.
But for this particular thing, they were cashing checks.
Yeah.
Mary, come on.
Yeah.
And they and I love the quote from Lee Majors about, well, why did you do this? Well, they offered me $500,000 and 10% of the profits. And he actually says, it took a lot of guts to play a Viking, but, the $500,000 and 10% went a long way. And he also had some time off, and it was in Florida, and he liked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who were all the Vikings.
Or yes, exactly. You got to act with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He thought it would be fun.
Yep.
Can I make another comment? You just said, and he got to act with them. Oh, aren't you cute?
Yes, indeedy.
Another quote from Lee Majors on this. There is no character development here and hardly any dialogue. This is a formula film. And that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But wasn't it fun to watch this terrible movie?
No.
Well,
Eric,
I tried to enjoy that, and it was at times kind of funny, but oh God, is it painful? Now, I want to make a note about the 5 pictures that Fawcett-Majors Productions made. I have seen one of the others, and it is actually a really good film.
And what was the other?
I don't know if you've seen it, Nick, but I know you've heard of it. Because it was shot right here in Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh, God, Steel.
Steel, yes.
Yeah, I've seen it.
A neat film. Shot in Lexington. It's about a construction company building a skyscraper. And Lee Majors plays this construction supervisor who has gotten out of the business because he was involved in a tragic accident on the job and he can't do it anymore. And he gets called by a friend who's building the building and needs him to come get it done in time so that the bank doesn't foreclose and take the building. And it's actually a really neat film, and it's for people who live in Lexington. It's quite an interesting artifact because they shot it in 76 or 77 at the newly completed or nearly completed Kincaid Tower, which was the first really modern skyscraper in Lexington. They shot a scene at Rupp Arena, which had just been finished, where the Wildcats play. And you can see a lot of the local area, and it's just weird to see how different it looks. But it's a really good film. It is also known for the tragedy that occurred in its making, which is that the stunt guy they had who was doing the fall from the building was killed after he asked to shoot it a second time because his rival, Burt Reynolds' stunt guy, had done a fall out of the Peachtree Tower in Atlanta that was the tallest on record, and he wouldn't have that. So he had to do a higher one from Kincaid Tower, and the airbag collapsed, and he died of his injuries.
Really?
Yeah. The whole city turned out to watch this thing because it was announced in advance. So everybody's down there downtown to watch, and he did the fall off the building, and the airbag ruptured, and he died of his injuries at UK Hospital. It's a well-known film locally. It is nearly impossible to find, unfortunately.
I'd never even heard of it until I saw it in this.
Steel.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Lexington Public Library showed it. Lee Majors came to the Lexington Comic-Con a couple of years ago, and right after he was here, they played it at the library, and I went and saw it. And I'm really glad I did, because it was a really neat film, but it is very hard to find a copy of it. It doesn't stream anywhere that I know of. You might be able to find a DVD or a used video cassette or something on Amazon, but it's very hard to find, which is unfortunate because it really deserves more showing than it seems to get. I think all the other 4 of the films that Fawcett-Majors did were, I don't know if they were as bad as the Norseman, but they were at least more in that category than Steel was. But
well, I've only seen one of the other films from that list, and that was Killer Fish from 1979.
Of course,
and let's just say that movie was we'll have it featured on Riff Tracks bad.
Wow.
Yep. So, but now going back to where you can find the movie Steel, Mr. Brooks, you do not have faith in one of our most common co-hosts of this show.
Well, that's true. I should ask Juan. And Juan, if you've got it, let me know. I would like a copy of it on DVD or Blu-ray.
That's right. We'll talk to Juan at fifthdimensionfilms.net. Because if anybody's got a copy, he had a copy of Scavenger Hunt.
Yeah.
And that movie I couldn't find anywhere to save my life. And he was able to pony up a copy of that, which I got Dirk Benedict to sign at the Lexington Comic and Toy Con.
Wow.
So if he could pony up a copy of that, I bet he's got a copy of Steel with your name on it, Eric. And you know what?
Well,
we'll
hope
get
so.
together
Juan,
in
if
your
you can do that,
backyard. We'll get us a
hook me
video
up,
projector and we'll shoot it on the wall and watch it.
Alrighty.
And now I'm going to make a comment about why I enjoyed watching The Norseman.
Okay.
Terrible movie that it was, but why I enjoyed it. And Eric and Mary did not. I was drinking.
Ah.
Ha! Mary was not drinking because she's on pain meds and stuff, and Eric doesn't drink. So my
Eric doesn't
superpower
drink, and Eric not only watched this movie, Eric was so dedicated to this cast, he watched it twice.
Oh dear God, Eric!
Oh my! I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I
Eric,
thought surely there must have been something I missed, so I watched it a second time, and I'm like, nope, that's all there was.
No, there's nothing you missed. And stop calling me Shirley.
Did either of you see the oil tanker in the background of one of the scenes?
No.
No, I think it was way off in the distance.
Yes,
but
I read that, and I actually thought, well, I'll watch it again. I went, no, I can't. I can't.
Yeah, there were a lot. There were a lot of little things in that. I mean, yeah. God bless the Norseman. And okay. So we've managed to totally crucify this movie over the last 35, 40 minutes.
Yes.
So let's take a moment and talk about the actors who had the pleasure of being involved in this film.
Wow.
So who would you like to start with? Now we've kind of hit Lee Majors.
I would like to talk about Lee Majors' Kentucky connections, if I may.
Go ahead.
Oh, please.
Lee Majors was born in Michigan, but grew up in the town of Middlesboro, which is a little tiny town in southeastern Kentucky. It's at the southeastern corner of the state. And it is a town with a unique claim to fame. It is the only town in the world built in a meteor crater. But he went to high school in Middlesboro, and on graduation, he first went to Indiana, got involved in a frat fight or something, and left and went to EKU, Eastern Kentucky University, and was doing pretty well as a football player. And in fact, it looked like he might have enough to make it as a pro, and then he hurt something, his knee or his back or something, his back, and it ended his career. That's when he went to acting. And one of his earliest acting forays was at a place called the Pioneer Playhouse, which is a theater down near Danville, which is due south of Lexington, about 30 miles or so. Nick and I have been there a number of times. Nick has gone a lot of times with his stepdad and his mom. It is a summer stock theater, and it is known for developing talent that goes on to professional success. Another success story out of the Pioneer Playhouse is John Travolta. So both of them, and early in their career, did theater work at the Pioneer Playhouse here in Kentucky. So there are strong Kentucky connections with Lee Majors before he became famous as the $6 Million Man and the Fall Guy. And Brock Williams, father of Ashley J. Williams in Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yep.
That explains why he had a southern accent.
Yes.
Because I never thought of him as being a southerner, because I knew he was born in Michigan, but I didn't realize he was in Kentucky that long.
Yeah.
Well, he was one of them Michigander Southerners.
Okay.
I don't know that explains why he kept calling them Norsemen.
Well,
we have to have a Norse funeral.
Norse.
Yes.
It's a southern version of Norse.
I guess.
Hey, you're making that up, Mary.
No, I'm not.
And by the way, you're from Pennsylvania. I don't care how long you've lived in the Carolinas. So you don't get to pull the Southern card on us. All right. Let me just say that,
true.
Missy.
This
Tell you
is-
what.
Although, when I go back up to Pennsylvania, they all tell me I sound like, I sound like a Southerner,
well,
so,
okay. Trust me, Mary, you don't. Okay? I've been down to Eastern Kentucky quite a few times the last couple of years, and you don't sound anything like a real Southerner.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
So,
I just looked up Lee Majors. And
so what about it?
He was in Eastern Kentucky University. He was in a football game. And he was injured and he got paralyzed from the waist down for 2 weeks. And they found out he had congenital spondylosis something. It's a defect in the alignment of your spine, which is what they did with me. They realigned my spine.
Okay.
But that's why he couldn't do football anymore, because it was congenital, and there was, I guess back then, nothing they could do to make his spine go straight. And it was pushing on his nerves and causing a lot of problems. That's why he stopped being a football player, so he wouldn't be paralyzed for life. And then, then he went to Indiana University and got expelled.
Well, there you go. And then he became the $6 Million Man.
Yeah. What is that? So you have to play that sound.
The no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put that in right here.
No. No.
Yes.
No. Because that's too much work for me. I'm a lazy editor right now.
Okay.
So, no, but it was interesting to see him in this role, and that's about as much as I have to say about it. with his porn star mustache and Frito Bandito mask.
I didn't realize he was in Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah,
yes.
He played Ash's dad.
And it was great. It's one of his best roles.
Huh. Okay.
He was hysterical.
Yeah, he got the grumpy old man the hell out of it.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. I don't really remember him doing much of anything after the $6 Million Man and all those. What was the $6 Million lady called?
The Bionic Woman.
Bionic Woman.
Well, and don't forget they had a bionic dog, and I think at one point they had bionic kids. And, they had just all sorts of bionic stuff. And by the way, kudos to the creators of the $6 Million Man for figuring out the best way to do somebody running really, really fast at bionic speeds is to have them run in slow motion with that sound. Because that is the most brilliant, low-budget discount way to do speeding special effects that I can imagine.
I also didn't realize he was Heath Barkley in The Big Valley. I don't know why, but I don't remember him being in The Big Valley.
Well, he was in The Big Valley, Mary.
I guess I didn't watch it that much.
All right. So let's talk about some of the other folks in this here movie.
Okay.
So we had the Death Dreamer, and he was in our last film, Mary.
I know.
Talk about a connection.
I know. You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Absolutely not. I had no idea he was in this. I just knew. All I knew was that this was a Charles B. Pierce bandwagon, and it had Lee Majors in it.
Ah, okay.
So, but yeah, it was Jack Elam, and he's got this big old hump on his back under this black robe that he's wearing, and he's the Death Dreamer, which is apparently the Norse wizard.
I don't know.
Sure, why not?
I don't know.
So he was the Norse wizard, and it was. He had his craggy beard, which maybe he could have loaned a little bit of that to Lee Majors to make a real mustache. I don't know, and that's the other thing. I can't ever recall any concept of a Viking just having a mustache. That's just occurred to me.
Yeah.
Mustaches seem just a little bit too well groomed for your typical Viking. Now, you know what? I'm going to take that back, because what I have learned historically about Vikings is that they were actually very clean people.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, often when they would come to, say, England, and they would attack the Saxons, and the Saxon women would be all like, "Hey, these guys smell nice. Let's go with them." It's amazing. Even in ye olde dark ages, taking a bath goes a long way, and the Norsemen figured that out. So, But anyway, but Jack Elam was he was super fun to have in this, and I don't know that we need to talk much more about him, except we can go back to the fact that he lost an eye when he was 11 in a fight.
Yes.
Didn't they say he was the guy with no face or something?
They're saying that while they
no one has
panned in
seen
on
his
his face.
Weren't they saying no one had ever seen his face or something in this
Yes.
movie?
Yeah, well, everybody saw his face.
Exactly.
Right. They say this while zooming in on his face.
I know.
Yeah. Well, it's again. This was Charles B. Pierce. He was busy. He was busy making a movie. He was too busy making a movie to pay attention to little details. Come on.
Oh, and Jack Elam lost his eyesight at a Boy Scout meeting.
Yep.
Little boy threw a pencil.
Yep. And this kids is exactly why you shouldn't throw pencils.
Right. He had his merit badge for writing implement safety revoked.
Yeah, well, he never noticed it. Lost an eye. Okay, so
he was so good. He was such a great character actor. I mean,
yeah,
he's in everything.
Well, he's not in everything, Mary, but he sure was in a lot of things.
And a lot of westerns and cowboy stuff.
Because he had the perfect look to be in a western.
Yeah.
That's the thing, he was very much the western actor.
Yeah. He just had that face that was just perfect. Perfect character actor. Sometimes you
not going to say he wasn't.
No. Who was the guy that just died? He was another character actor.
I'm not sure.
Ooh.
Are you talking about Alan Arkin?
Yes.
Alan Arkin was much more than a character actor,
I don't think of him as a character actor. No?
Am I going to argue this with you, Mary?
Okay. No.
I'm so tempted. Eric, should I argue this with her?
I wouldn't.
No, because you're going to argue movies, and I'm not going to remember any of them.
Okay.
So it wouldn't matter if you did.
Okay, he won an Academy Award, Mary. I'm going to leave it at that.
I know.
And a BAFTA, and a Golden Globe, and a Tony.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
I'm trying to remember what movie I first saw him in.
Probably a movie.
Was he in the MASH movie? The original MASH movie, by any chance?
I don't remember if he was in the original MASH or not. I don't think he was.
No? Okay.
He played Inspector Clouseau once.
Oh.
How about that?
Okay.
I mean, he did a lot of movies in the 70s, including my favorite, which was a movie called The In-Laws. And the idea with The In-Laws, that was one, it was him and Peter Falk. And Falk plays he's like a CIA agent. And they are the parents of a couple that are getting married. And Peter Falk ends up getting him in trouble and hauling him down to like Nicaragua or something and starting a revolution, all while they're trying to get back so they can be at their kid's wedding.
Okay, I think I've seen that, but I don't remember it.
Okay, then you haven't seen it. Go watch it, Mary.
Oh.
But anyway, okay, we've just gone down a real far side road because Academy Award winning actor Alan Arkin has absolutely nothing to do with the Norseman.
Jack Elam. Okay.
With Jack Elam. So we're going to drag kicking and screaming.
Okay.
We're going to drag ourselves back to
Mel Ferrer.
Mel Ferrer. Okay, what about Mel Ferrer?
I didn't know he was married to Audrey Hepburn for a while.
Okay,
and
I didn't know that either. But
I also thought he was related to Jose Ferrer and Miguel Ferrer, and he's not.
No, he's not.
I thought that too. I was quite surprised.
Yeah, he had some really great movies too. There were so many really good actors in this movie.
Yeah, because they all needed work.
So bad.
Well, okay, it was 1977, 78, and that timing, and they were all just kind of between jobs, and Charles B. Pierce showed up with a checkbook.
I know, but they're such good actors. You'd think some of it would have rubbed off on the movie.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, if you look at their individual performances, well, no, none of them are really good, actually. The only actor that I think did a good job was Jimmy Clem. What? Jimmy Clem. He played Olaf.
Which one was Olaf?
Olaf was the big one that had his tongue cut out, so he never had any dialogue. He just went, "Ugh," like that a bunch.
Oh, is that why you thought he was such a good actor?
No, because I just like Jimmy Clem.
Oh,
Jimmy Clem, I think, was a friend of Charles B. Pierce.
I think so,
because
too.
he showed up in every Charles B. Pierce movie.
Oh.
Every one of them. I think, except I don't think he was in the original Boggy Creek. Okay, I'm going to take that back. But he was in every other Charles B. Pierce movie that I can think of, including The Legend of Boggy Creek 2, The Legend Continues.
Okay.
So there's that. But I will take a moment because, films sometimes have unusual people in them. And I'm going to massacre her last name, but Susie Colejo. Okay? The lady who played the Native American girl, Juanetta. I believe that was her character's name. They really never said the names much.
Juanetta?
But Juanetta, whatever. Winona. It was something. But, okay, this chick she had a pretty amazing life. I mean, aside from having been married to Sonny Bono at one point, I mean, she worked as a model. She then went on to become an actress. She was in Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. Hello. As a journalist, she traveled to India and interviewed Poolan Devi, known as the Bandit Queen of Central India, while the Bandit Queen was a fugitive from justice. I mean, this lady had it going on. And this is before she even started co-hosting on The View, the Today Show, and an HTV series called The Surprise Gardener.
Okay.
I mean, think about that.
I don't remember her on any of those, but...
Yeah, well, because you're seeing her in this terrible movie dressed as a Native American woman in very historically inaccurate costume and just running around. You aren't even thinking about that.
Okay. I just don't remember her on The View. Well, I don't watch The View. I never did watch The View, so I guess that makes sense.
Well, I guess you don't have a room with The View then, do you?
No, I don't.
But I'm bunch.
She was in $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
A lot of these people were in the $6 Million Man and the Fall Guy.
Yep.
Ah.
Hey, I
think
sticking
Gage
with the
borrowed
important
all
stuff.
the people that he worked with on those shows for this.
Well, and, there were the entire Tampa Bay Buccaneers appearing
Apparently,
Vikings.
as uncredited Vikings or something.
Oh my goodness, that's just awesome. And there's one other person that we have to bring up when we talk about the credits. Okay. and that is little Chuck B. Pierce Jr.
Yes, indeedy.
That's right. It's Charles B. Pierce's son, Chuck B. Pierce Jr.
Aww.
And wow, Dad really put him in the movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be fair, his dad put him in Boggy Creek 2 in The Legend Continues. He was in The Norseman. I think he was in a few of the other, like he was in Winterhawk and some of the bootleggers. You know, he definitely was in some movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was ever in anything his dad didn't make, though.
Oh.
But, you know, he was definitely a little skinny blonde kid who honestly looked more like a Norseman than any of the Norsemen
I know.
movie.
He did.
You know, you could see him being a Nordic kid. The rest of them, it's like, what?
You mean you didn't buy Deacon Jones as a Viking?
No, I didn't quite buy Deacon Jones as the first African-American Viking. And I will say it was super fun that he was in there, but yeah.
Yes.
Just bless.
The only person of color in the whole film, and he plays a Viking.
Yeah. And, you know, to be fair, there would be more likelihood of Vikings having come across, say, a Moorish traveler and incorporated them into their band than of somebody ending up in a Native American tribe. I don't know.
Probably so, yes.
But, you know, but that's okay because he was in Florida, New England, Canada type area. Because,
right.
You know, I'm actually imagining how long it would have taken Vikings to sail to Tampa.
I know.
And that would have been impressive.
Well, they were impressive.
Well, the real Vikings were impressive. Yes.
Yeah.
The Charles B. Pierce Vikings
were just silly.
They were okay. They were what you might get if you ask a 6-year-old to draw a picture of some Vikings. You would maybe get what Charles B. Pierce got when he made this movie. But, you know, and I'm just imagining he went and cleaned out, you know, Halloween City for all the armor. And he cleaned out Fredericks of Hollywood for all the Native American costumes. And, yeah, they just went from there. I mean, it was great.
One of the things that bugged me was when they did that shield wall thing that the Vikings are known for doing.
What, you mean the shield wall with the little tiny circular shields?
Yeah, yeah.
It was more like a shield picket fence.
That were made out of metal, that Vikings didn't have metal shields. They had wooden ones, but that's beside the point. They do that whole thing, and then they turn around and run away.
Mary.
I know. It's just... It just was silly.
It was super silly. And the thing is, and back me up on this, Eric, the idea of the shield wall was Roman, first of all. The Roman centurions came up with it.
No.
But when they did that, they would use great big shields and actually make a wall, and then they could use their spears to jab out between the shields.
The Romans used rectangular shields for that. But the Vikings used very large, round shields.
Yeah, and they did do a variation of the shield wall. Yeah.
But yes, the little funky things they had looked like they came from Halloween Express.
Yes.
Oh, Lordy.
Well,
one of them
and
had
if
like
you
a
watch
Medusa
during
on
many
it.
of the slow motion fights, you would actually see the shields bending as they were hit, or somebody was leaning against them, or whatever. Oh,
I know.
Oh, and pre-bloodied swords. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And
I
again,
like Kathleen Freeman as the old Indian woman.
Yeah, Kathleen Freeman is the old. Okay, that's a good call. I'd forgotten about her.
I like her. I didn't like the fact that the character was silly, the old Indian woman, but I like her. I think she's really great.
Now, that's fair. And, again, this is another really good actress who somehow or other ended up in this movie.
Yes.
And once again, I think it's called, hey, there's a paycheck.
Yes.
And a free stay for 2 weeks in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's hey, you got some time to be in Florida. It's nice. You go down there. You shoot a movie just outside Tampa,
Mm-hmm. Cornell Wilde was in this, and he's a really great actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he actually admitted that he went because he was paid $125,000.
Yeah.
Right.
For 5 weeks of work.
Well, and think about this, guys. This movie had a $3 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
$2.8 million of that went to pay the actors, I'm pretty sure. And then what was left over got split between, I don't know, paying off the mob and going to Halloween City and buying all the costumes for the film. But okay.
Denny Miller was in it.
What?
Denny Miller.
Yeah.
He was Ravrick. Something. Rorik.
Rornick.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, him.
Well, we'll just do all the names as Jimmy Clem's character Olaf, who had no tongue when he said it.
Okay.
So is Denny Miller as Rorik?
Yes, he was Tarzan the Ape Man in 1959. He was the first blonde Tarzan. And I was doing research for this, and they had a picture of all the different Tarzans. They had 6 of them. He was really good looking back then.
What are you saying? He wasn't really good looking in this?
I can't remember what character he was.
He was He was one of the Vikings. And okay, last pick on the movie, ranged weapons. Guys, take your ranged weapons. Apparently the Vikings had crossbows, which I don't know if they did or didn't.
They did
but they
not.
had them on the
boat. They would have had longbows, but not crossbows.
Yeah.
That technology would not have existed for them in 1000 AD.
That's what I thought, but
they did not use crossbows.
Well, they did in this movie, Eric.
Yes, they did. Because God forbid the Europeans should have technology the same as the Indian people. Got to have the Europeans with the superior technology, whether they had it or not.
But the Native Americans in this movie were using archery.
Yes,
arrows instead of what they
target
would have
arrows.
Used. Yeah.
And the Vikings were wearing pads, and occasionally they would slip out from under the armor.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
So that the arrow would stick in the pad when they got shot.
Yeah, that was nice.
And they would occasionally pop out of the armor.
Well, what I really liked was when you'd watch, they did all those slow-mo scenes, and then they'd shoot the crossbows, and you would see the bolt from the crossbow literally start falling before it left the camera. It's like the crossbow was designed to penetrate armor.
Yes.
And this is the slowest, saddest crossbow bunch ever.
Yes.
But but anyway, I mean, we could pick this movie apart for the rest of the evening. But I think it's important to just acknowledge that it was a movie that was made in the 70s.
It was that.
It was a movie. It was made. People got paid.
Mm-hmm.
Charles B. Pierce probably had a very difficult time explaining to American International Pictures why they didn't make money on a movie that didn't cost that much to make and had all these people who were very popular at the time. I mean, Lee Majors,
I know.
He was the $6 million man. He was a big deal.
I know.
But anyway, so that's about all I've got to say about the cast. What about you guys? Anybody else?
Mm-mm.
I'll throw Fred Bolitnikoff out there only because he's another professional football player who was in it.
Okay, so there you go. Gee, another
Fred
another
Bolitnikoff. He
Tampa
played
Bay
one of the
Buccaneer.
Norsemen.
Oh,
He is best known as one of the greatest wide receivers ever to play the game.
Oh,
The
in Florida?
best college receiver in the game every year gets the Bolitnikoff Award named for him. So there were a couple of NFL guys in it that were named, bigger name people.
Oh.
Deacon Jones and Bolitnikoff.
Well, yeah, Deacon Jones, he was taken into the Hall of Fame like in 1980, wasn't he?
Both Bolitnikoff and Deacon Jones are in the Hall of Fame, yeah.
Okay.
Deacon Jones is credited with being the person to coin the term sack for tackling the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage.
Really?
That was his thing. And he is one of two players on the Rams defensive line known as the Fearsome Foursome to become an actor. The other is really better known as an actor, I think. The other is Merlin Olsen, who first became famous on Little House on the Prairie and then became Father Murphy while not doing FTD commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
So, we want to talk about the plot of this here film.
There was one?
As much plot as there was.
There was
what plot? Where?
There was more plot to this than you can imagine.
Okay.
So check it out. Thorvald the Brave, or the Bold, excuse me. I don't want to give him the wrong adjective. So Thorvald the Bold goes scooting on down to where they thought was Greenland, but it was actually supposed to be somewhere similar to where I guess the Vikings first possibly landed in North America, up in Canada or the New England area.
Newfoundland.
But
which is Canada, yes.
Yeah. So Thorvald, they're going looking for Thorvald's dad, who was the king. And what was his dad's name? I can't even remember the character's name. But he was the Viking king.
King Uric.
Yeah, Uric. Yeah, that's it.
Uric.
But he was the king, and he had gone missing years before. And so Thorvald the Bold got his Viking band together in their magical longship that had like 15 decks below the waterline, and they sailed across the sea and braved many a storm just to get to the beach so that one of them could get shot with arrows while everybody ran in slow motion. And, they go back to the ship and they're like, hey, those guys shot our buddy with arrows. Well, they give him a Viking funeral, which was impressive. I'm sure they didn't have a permit to burn something on the beach. But anyway, meanwhile, we go to the Native American village of these not Iroquois Indians, and we find that there's actually a bunch of blind Norsemen being held in a cave where they're being forced to grind corn into meal. Okay, and they've been blinded and you don't know what's going on. And then we have one of those doodle-doo flashbacks, and it shows these Norsemen, the Thorvald's dad and the other guys all sitting around drinking and partying with the Native Americans. And it's obvious that dad is getting kind of busy with Winetta. She's all hanging on him, and the head of the Native Americans, and I can't remember what his character was supposed to be called, but because they never said anything, that you could understand. All the Vikings spoke perfect English, but nobody else did. But anyway, she's hanging on him. The leader of the Native Americans is the chief is he's getting jealous. So
no, it wasn't the chief. It was one of the younger.
Was it the head warrior?
Yeah, it was the head warrior, and it wasn't the father. It was his next in command.
See, you see, and you accuse this movie of not having a plot, and here you know the plot better than I did. But the idea is whatever. They're getting jealous.
Drinking.
Yeah, they're getting jealous, and so it ends up after 3 or 4 flashbacks, we finally get to the point where they're all drinking, and all of a sudden the Native Americans are like, "Wow, we really aren't drunk." And they grab the Vikings and they immediately put their eyes out with burning sticks, which is pretty awful, actually, when you think about it. But now that they've blinded the Vikings, they will put them to work grinding corn in a cave. And, it's just whatever. I mean, Kathleen Freeman is the old Indian woman who's kind of in charge of the slaves now that they've been blinded. And, you got Juanetta, who was in love with one of them, and now she's all upset because they're all, blind, and some of them are dead. And Lee Majors, he's like, well, we need to go and look for my dad. So they set off through the jungle and immediately get surrounded by a extremely large number of Native Americans relative to their party of Vikings. I mean, I think there were about, 18 or 20 Vikings, and there were probably 100 Native Americans. And this is where the ranged weapons would have come in handy. But even the Native Americans didn't bring their bow and arrows. They all just ran at each other and had a big fight. And yeah, a couple of the Vikings got killed. Most of them escaped, and they got back to the boat, and Lee Majors is all depressed. And Eric, Chuck B. Pierce, the kid, is all like, I want to go fight the Native Americans. And he's like, no, you can't. You're a kid, we're all going to go to Valhalla when we die in battle. And so they're about to kind of give up when all of a sudden Juanetta shows up. Oh, and they'd sailed up the river, by the way. I forgot to mention that. They sailed up the river. And the other thing, and this struck me as weird, so the Vikings brought the Death Dreamer, their wizard, along with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why did they all hate him?
I don't know.
I mean, they just all hated on him. They were just like, well, you're no good as a wizard. You suck. Ah. I mean, they were really, really rude to the dude. It's like, if you're going to bring the wizard along, act like you care. I mean, if not, why'd you bring him?
Maybe
but anyway.
He was guessing wrong or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was as crappy a wizard as this is a movie. But,
nice
so,
bird.
Juanetta decides that she's going to go and tell the Vikings that, hey, some of your people are actually here. Only she doesn't speak Viking, and they don't speak Native American. So fortunately, she has the king's dagger. And so when Thorvald sees this, he's like, aha! So I will take half of the Vikings, and we will sneak into the village and see if this is a trap or if she's telling the truth. And the other half of the Vikings will sail the ship up the river. But it took us 3 days to sail here, and you expect us to get back in a day? Yes. And so they put that on the wizard, and apparently for once his powers work because the wind picks up and they get to leave. But not before they're attacked by the Native Americans. And this was kind of a fun bit because Lee Majors' group goes sneaking through the woods and is passed by all of the Native Americans going to attack the ships. The Native Americans attack the ships. Suddenly the Vikings figure out that they have crossbows, which they shouldn't have, but that's beside the point. And they're generally able to fight off the Native Americans until suddenly the wind rises and they're able to drop their sails and the boat is able to sail out of the river and up to the seafront. Now, bearing in mind that it took them 3 days to get there by the boat sailing, apparently Lee Majors, after they rescue the other Vikings, they're able to hoof it to the beach in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the river was really, really, really windy and the beach was just right around the corner, but that's beside the point. Now, I don't want to make it sound like Lee Majors and his guys did all the work because the blind Vikings decided that now was the time for them to revolt. So they managed to put out a couple of torches and kill a couple of their captors before Lee Majors and his band shows up. But they didn't do that good, but they did well enough, I guess. So anyway, and they run back to the beach just in time to have Olaf stop and try to hold off the entirety of the Native American tribe. And he's like, well, we'll sing the praises of you in Valhalla, whatever, and leave him to die. And they all go running back to the ship. Well, then, just as the ship's getting ready to set sail, Olaf comes staggering out of the woods, palm trees right behind him, once again showing exactly how northern Canada this is. but anyway, Olaf is not dead. And we have a bunch of slow-mo running and a bunch of slow-mo fighting, and they get away. Did I leave anything out?
I don't know, because I fast-forwarded through a lot of it.
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And they take Winetta back with them, I guess, to Denmark
they take
or wherever.
Winetta back with them as, I don't know, trophy wife?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess she was needing to go look at a house for remodeling or something.
But she was still
for her HGTV show.
She was in love with one of the blind guys.
Well, yeah, she was, but I'm pretty sure Lee Majors was going to score with that.
Yeah, probably, but
because let's face it, he had the porn star stash.
That's true, and the mask.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So anyway. Final rating from me on this movie, it was but it is a great drinking game movie, so I highly recommend that.
Oh.
But once again, only drink at historical inaccuracies, but just sip, ladies and gentlemen, or you will die of alcohol poisoning.
Yes. Yes.
So what are your last thoughts on the film, Eric?
I think that about sums it up. I mean,
yeah.
If you think about this film at all, it hurts the mind. I mean, you can't do that. That's just, it's like thinking about broken glass. It's just not a good idea. But anyway,
that's fair.
Yeah.
I want to know how they swam with all that armor on.
Well, the armor was made of plastic,
right? There you go. Exactly.
Duh.
I know. It had a good six-pack on it, too.
Well, that's true. Nobody had to do sit-ups because the armor had the six-packs on them for them.
Yeah.
That's my kind of armor.
Oh. So.
It's all right, Mary. You're welcome.
So bad in so many ways.
It was. And that's what made it wonderful.
Why hasn't MST3, whatever it is, Mystery Science, done this one?
Because they have standards? I don't know.
Even they couldn't find a way to make it funny?
No, I'm going to say it probably has to do with licensing.
Probably.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. MST3K only can do movies that are cheap enough for them to get the licensing rights or are in public domain.
Okay.
So I'll give you a perfect example. They did a live show where they did a play on The Room, Tommy Wiseau's movie. And that's not Room, the Academy Award winning film from a few years ago, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Room, the Tommy Wiseau pinnacle of bad movies that later would go on to be made. The making of that movie would become a movie called The Disaster Artist, which I highly recommend watching. But anyway, they did that movie, but you cannot find a digital copy of them doing that movie that they did at a live show because they only had the rights to do it once. So there you go.
Okay.
Huh.
That makes sense. And Lee Majors is still alive, so.
And Lee Majors is still alive.
He would fight it, probably.
No, he probably wouldn't.
You don't think?
No, I don't think he would, Mary. Okay, let me put it this way. Graydon Clark, who we've had on the show before.
Yes.
We did his movie, we did his movie, Seven from Heaven, / Angel's Revenge / whatever other name they gave it. That dude has had so many of his movies done by Riff Trax and Mystery Science Theater, and he has yet to be able to stop them.
Wow.
So there you go.
Wow.
And more to the point, he's probably not unhappy that they did them, because it's given the films a second life as people look them up.
Yeah.
And he probably got some kind of royalty for them doing the movies.
Ah, okay.
So there we go. And that's about it, folks. So you feeling better now, Mary? The Norseman is behind you.
Yes. Oh.
Well, we'll figure out a better movie to do next time.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else we want to hit?
Not that I can think of.
No, I think we pretty well covered that.
By the way, can I also point out that this podcast has lasted longer than the movie, The Norseman?
Yes, it has.
And I
So
think
there
it
you
was
go.
more fun.
Do what?
I think it was more fun, so.
Well,
And we
I
didn't
think
even
it
have to
was
do
too,
any of it in slow motion to make it last this long.
No.
Well, actually, I'm going to play the whole I'm going to post the whole podcast in slow motion.
There you go.
Oh. Okay.
All right. Well,
time for me to take some sleeping pills and go to sleep.
That sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, we will bid everyone a fond farewell from this episode of the B Movie Cast.
Yes. Thank you, Eric. Once
You're
again.
welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you. As always, a pleasure.
Only next time you come on, you get to pick the movie, not Nick.
Okay. I have some in mind.
Okay.
I figured you would have something in mind, but here's the thing. I wanted Eric to do this movie because he does historical stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
And this movie was so historically accurate that I felt it needed somebody to really analyze all the historical accuracy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick with that.
Okay.
Hey, y'all have a good evening.
You too.
Buenos nachos.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Adios, Mafia.
Well, they've gone.
For good, John?
No, just for now. It wasn't the right time for us to meet. But there'll be other nights, other stars for us to watch. They'll be back.
The ghosts are moving tonight, restless, hungry.
All right, fellas, here's your story.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
Wait, Captain. I have found evidence of intelligent beings on this planet.
Look to the skies, it's the B-Movie Cookbook. Menus inspired by 15 of your favorite B-movies from the 1950s, with teenage werewolves, blobs, and enough cheese for everyone.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
But until then, we've got Ed Wood and Vincent Price.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
So impress your friends with dinner and a movie with the B-Movie Cookbook. We've got you covered. Get your copy today at bmoviecookbook.com. That's bmoviecookbook.com.
Let me see that book. I am interested to see what sways your mind so heavily.
Sure thing, just visit bmoviecookbook.com.
Anybody around here want some coffee?
Transmission.
The good guys always win, even in the 80s.